Today we have 4 exciting recipes to show you guys. We're gonna do chicken empanadas, chicken tacos, applesauce pancakes, and rainbow Rice Krispie treats. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna brown some onions. And so we're gonna take about a tablespoon of oil. We recommend canola oil. You're gonna put that in your pan and allow it to heat up. After you have your oil in the pan, you're gonna take half a cup of white chopped onion and mix it into the oil. And from here, you're gonna let the onions cook in the oil until they're kind of a lighter brown color. The other ingredients we have include 1 package of empanada dough, water, and for the filling, we have 8 ounces or 1/2 a pound of chicken, 1 garlic clove sliced, 1/2 a cup of onion chopped, 1/2 a cup of bell pepper chopped, 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 a teaspoon of dried oregano, and 1/8 a teaspoon of ground cumin. While your onions are browny, kind of play around with them a little bit to make sure they don't get stuck to the pan or cook unevenly. Once your onions have cooked a little bit, you're gonna add in your 1/2 cup of bell pepper and allow that to saute with the onions as well. This process will take about 6 to 8 minutes, just depending on how soft you want them. As you may be able to see, we're kind of doubling the recipe or adding 2 sets of onions or 2 sets of bell peppers because we're gonna use the same meat filling for our taco recipe we're gonna show you later. You're also gonna need to turn on your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit because after we stuff everything into the empanada dough, we're gonna wanna cook them afterwards. As you can see, our onions are kind of turning a little bit brown, which is exactly what we wanna see. Once your vegetables kind of look like this in the pan, we are next gonna add the meat, our ground chicken, and then our seasonings. So for one recipe, for one batch of the empanadas or one recipe of the tacos, you're going to use 1 package of the ground chicken. And you're going to brown that meat until it's fully cooked all the way through. While our meat is starting to cook, we're next going to add our seasonings, which are going to be our minced garlic we mentioned earlier, a little bit of salt, cumin, and oregano. So we're adding in our garlic now, which is 1 clove. We're gonna add in our salt, which is 1/4 a teaspoon. Now the recipe technically calls for 1/4 a teaspoon of the cumin, of the ground cumin and the ground oregano as well, or the oregano leaves. I say measure with your heart, add as much as you want to help season the meat. And then our oregano leaves. And then we're gonna mix everything together. Don't let the color influence you. It actually will taste very good once the full product is done. And because we're kind of gonna separate the filling we make our empanadas, we wanna make it so it's not all kind of clumped together, if that makes sense. So definitely play with the meat while you're cooking it, kind of spread things out a little bit, make the meat ball texture kind of fine. You don't want things sticking together. It's looking like our meat is pretty cooked through. So once our meat is fully cooked through, we're going to turn off the stove and then we're gonna add in our tomato paste. Okay, and for our tomato paste, we are going to add 1 tablespoon. Okay, and we're gonna mix that all in with our cooked chicken. As you can see, it's not giving a incredibly loud red color to the meat, only a little bit. That's kind of what you want. You don't want to overdo with the tomato. And once you have your tomato paste all mixed in with your chicken, and now would be a good time to set up for the empanada making process. You've seen us make the empanada filling. Now we're going to actually assemble the empanada. As you can see here, we have our ingredients, our filling we made earlier, our dough that we pre-purchased. Again, you can make it yourself if you would prefer. A small cup of water. This is optional, but I highly recommend. And then egg wash, which is also optional, but kind of adds a nice glaze to it after it's out of the oven. What I'm gonna do first is take one of the empanada doughs, move the other one to the side a little bit, and then remove the plastic from said dough. I like to use the side that was more in the plastic or a little bit more soft or gooey. When you add your meat, you kind of want to, let's see, be about 1 spoonful. You want to do enough to add filling to the pastry dough, but not too much where you can't close it. So if you look here, I did about 1 large spoonful of the chicken, moving it all into the center. Okay, I'm gonna wet my fingers over here with the water to kind of add a little bit of a glue to the side of the pastry dough. And then I'm gonna fold it in half, kind of like a taco, hitting all the edges. making sure our chicken is nicely inside the pastry. Once it kind of looks like this, looks kind of full on both sides, you press it down into the tabletop with both fingers, and you kind of make it to where it'd be flat on one side, or flatter on one side and more full on the other. Now this is a little bit more over the top, so we'll do kind of an over the top folding part and then a more basic folding part. I like to take the corners and kind of fold things in to give it a little bit of a ribbon look. Again, this is not necessary. I will show you how to use it with just the fork. Once the ribbon is fully formed, you have your formed empanada dough. And then we're going to put it on our baking sheet and wait for it to be cooked. All right, and then you just repeat this process until all the dough is used. As you guys can see, we have our empanadas made in front of us. Now we're going to add egg wash to them before putting them in the oven. This part is completely optional, but it kind of helps with the cooking process. You can kind of get a better gauge of when they're going to be done, and it adds like a nice shine. So. An egg wash is just egg and water, essentially watered down egg. We're gonna paint it all over. Doesn't need to look pretty. Okay, now that our empanadas are egg washed, we're now gonna put them in the oven.